And I think a lot of us, I find myself through the years, more through the years, looking for sameness like the family of consciousness in terms of it'll be easier if I'm with people that all agree with me and we're all in harmony to begin with, rather than me have to train them or, or them train me. And so should we keep things difficult for ourselves all the time out there so we always have something to put? In my early years, I know I did that. I always kept something to fight against because there was some sort of a thrill to that constant feeling that I was growing and getting stronger and more capable of coping with and dealing with and conquering with and balancing out and making the world happy. But now I find myself like we sit in first class where we can stretch our legs out and we can stretch our arms out, and we get big cars where we can stretch everything out and where our luggage all fits in easily. And I find myself looking for ease more rather than looking for things that will make me physically, that I push against. Well, is the goal to get to the perfect, easy, comfortable life, or is the goal to keep life difficult? Since we have that, we can do either by choice.
And if those are the only two choices, we're out here.
You have another choice?
Well, the two choices that you offer are
right.
Certainly
Extremes.
two contrasts. But let us ask you a question or two, and then we'll get right to the heart of it.
Okay.
While you may seek ease or comfort relative to your travel, do you think you are choosing ease in all aspects of your experience? In other words, wouldn't it have been easier to wake up in San Antonio yesterday and stay there?
Yeah, sure.
Wouldn't it have been easier to not book this room at all?
Definitely.
Wouldn't it have been easier for all of these people to have just laid in their beds this morning?
Certainly.
And so while you chose ease or comfort relative to your travel, you were choosing reaching beyond in other aspects of your life. And so what we're getting at here is that we notice that if you were to have chosen ease in all aspect of your life, then now let's play that out just a little bit just for fun. So it is easier to stay in bed than it is to get up.
Right.
And it's easier to have your food brought to you than it is to go out and get it. But we can't imagine too many days of that before the ease would feel uncomfortable, because there is a desire for adventure, or for a desire to move beyond. And not only that, but if you were to play that out, let's say that you had been working so hard and you were to such a point of tortured exhaustion that ease is all that you were asking for. It was just something that you were screaming for, really, really wanting it. And so you forced yourself with willpower to stay there and just let things come to you. How long would they continue to come? In other words, how long before there is no money to pay for those who come to serve? In other words, how soon before the balance gets out of balance? Fortunately, few of you ever play it out to that extreme. But what we notice is that while you are seeking ease in one aspect of your life, you are seeking adventure in the other. And it's that constantly finding balance. And that's what this beautiful contrast is about. In other words, as you know what you don't want, it helps you to identify more clearly what you do want. As you find vibrational harmony with that, the universe gives it to you. Now you acclimate to that new vibration, to those new standards, to that new lifestyle. But before you know it, something that seemed like an adventure or something that you were reaching for before begins to feel like the ease of the norm. And so you can't stay there very long. You are always reaching for the more. So that third choice that we were talking about is more. In other words, it is that which is beyond this. We're not talking about struggle or ease. We're talking about the non-physical awareness that nothing ever stands still. And so there is, because everything is about energy, and energy is always in motion. From the human experience, you are at your most joyful. This is the answer to the question that you didn't put into words, but you'll hear it, as you will recognize it as we speak it. The non-physical intention, as it focuses itself through the human experience, is to identify the next experience, to achieve vibrational harmony with it, so that the thought goes out, the experience joins it, and a stabilization occurs. Then the thought goes out, the experience joins it, and a stabilization occurs. In other words, it's the constant, steady, ever-changing motion forward into more. You cannot stop the energy from flowing. It is always flowing through you. So the comfort that one might call ease is getting in sync with the flow. Now, can you feel the difference between standing still in your automobile, no motion forward at all, and being on the Concorde moving at a very high rate of speed through space? And can you recognize that when you're in the Concorde moving at a very high rate of speed through space, there can be ease in that if everything is in alignment? In other words, if you were on the ground going at that rate of speed, you may not be feeling that much ease. But when you are flowing with the current itself, there is always ease in the motion forward. So the answer to your question is both. From the non-physical perspective, you want the ease of the adventure of going with the flow. In other words, acknowledging that all is well, acknowledging that there is always more, acknowledging that the contrast sharpens the awareness of what is wanted, and acknowledging that there is no ending to the motion forward.
I want to go a little more with this. So, my first 40 years, Esther was saying yesterday, I don't want you to take any more chances because you've got all your lives used up. Because so many cars rolling over and trucks rolling over with me. And I never was a driver, but...
She was responding to your statement of the cat has 9 lives, and when she counted, you only had 1 left. Yes.
And so, but there's some sort of exhilaration in all that, and a sort of fear in all of that at the same time, pushing that close all the time. And then we were on the elevator yesterday, and there was a little boy, maybe 3 years old, from England, and he got on the elevator, 2 little brothers. There were 3 little brothers, but one particular right away spotted the mirror in the elevator, and he was noticing his hair, and his tongue was sticking out, and the other one suddenly realized we were going down, and he was holding his stomach. He was going, woo, like that. And I told Esther, I says, I read something, I think yesterday, or heard it somewhere, that to the infant, the whole world is new. All this stuff that seems so common to us, they are discovering everything. It's all brand new for them, whereas we've kind of been there. And I told Esther, I says, I like to keep stretching life out and want to have new things. I remember the first time in first class how wonderful it is, and now we just ho-hum. There we are. We just plump down there, and that's all it is to it. It's no big thing anymore. I remember the first time in that Lincoln Town car, we rented one, and what a thrill that was, and that sort of thing. And then suddenly, none of those things do anything anymore. They're all ease, they're all comfort, but they're not bringing me any particular. How do you keep life? How do you keep moving forward in life?
Don't ask the question yet. What is the conclusion? What is your summary from what you have just observed?
That the joy isn't in the ease, or is getting to the ease. But once you're at the ease is not fun anymore. It's not exciting anymore. It's not worth really. But I wouldn't go back in the end of the plane just to experience that again. But on the other hand,
so are you saying to us that it is the motion forward? In other words, it's the continuing identifying of another new experience, and then the acclimating of the vibration to the new decision, the achieving of the new physical manifestation from which you will start the process again.
I love watching these little brothers discovering a mirror in an elevator and discovering that feeling, and I'm standing there ignoring the mirror. I mean, I didn't know there was a mirror there till I saw the kid spot it. I didn't know we were going down. There was any feeling. I saw him grab his stomach, and then I remembered what a mirror looked like to me the first time, and what going down up on an elevator felt like the first time to me. And I'm thinking, it's all past me now. I've discovered all that. I've seen, like Esther and I are planning a trip on the Concorde, and I know as we're getting up to that 1,700 miles an hour, I'm going to say, ooh, here's a new experience. But it'll soon be just like the other jets if I keep flying it. Like Esther and I, we get on the plane, we're up 30,000 feet, and Esther says, have we left yet? And I said, well, yeah. But I mean, we don't even notice that we're landing or taking off anymore. It's not even an emotion. It's not even a feeling. So my question is... And it would
be sad if you were getting all of your kicks from that. You would be in a lackful place. But there are other things within your experience in which you are enjoying the feeling of expansion.
Yeah, those things are moving us to those other things that are bringing those other expansive feelings.
Everything is about perspective, isn't it?
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
In other words... In other words, you can look as fully into any moment and derive as much from it as you choose in any moment. Mm-hmm. If you decided to, you could bring first class back to the same feeling of exhilaration that it was for you the first time you lived it, if it mattered enough to do it. That's what we were talking about here earlier. If the desire were there, in other words, if you from a contrasting place said, I'm feeling kind of limp, I'm not getting many kicks, I'm wanting to feel the exhilaration of some first time experiences again. If you were to, for 17 seconds, remember the emotion of slipping into that big wide leather seat, and the emotion of someone offering you something to drink right away, and the emotion of feeling the expansiveness and the comfort within it.
I do that, but I feel like I'm faking it.
Well, if you're then you are not conjuring the feeling, in other words. But if you were to find the feeling place of that, we promise you on your next experience it would meet those expectations again. But the question is it really worth spending the time to revisit that? In other words, that saying that is so popular today, been there, done that, really applies here, doesn't it? In other words, maybe there is some new arena that you're wanting to experience. You see, you'll come back again and again as that little kid. You'll be grooming yourself in the elevator before you know it as another energy coming forth. In other words, those new experiences are always there. But the joy of being in a physical body and learning to allow the non-physical desire to reach for the new experience from this physical format. We visited with a woman a while back, and she was very concerned that now she was here in this physical body, and she had had the opportunity to learn all of this stuff. You're wanting us to wait?
Please.
She was very concerned that now she is in this physical body, and she has learned so much about non-physical energy, and she has learned how to align the vibration of this energy with the vibration of her core, and she's feeling the exhilaration finally of the harmony between her and her. And now she worries that she's going to die, re-emerge into non-physical, come back and not remember any of that. The humans keep thinking, let's get it all figured out and all smoothed out and all the bumps out of it so that we can come back and live in ease. And what we are wanting you to hear with all of your help is that ease isn't the trophy you are all looking for. Ease is only the trophy you look for from a place of trauma. And that's why we were teasing you about the two options you were giving us, either ease as in boredom or trauma as in adventure. And we say it is not like that from the non-physical. There is when you have knowing that all is well, in other words, when you have the security of knowing that it always turns out right, do you find yourself enjoying without trepidation? In other words, what we want you to discover here in your physical bodies is the joy of adventure without fear. The joy of adventure without boredom. We want you to discover the feeling. That's what Esther tries to describe, and she finds that it falls on deaf ears most of the time as she tries to describe what it's like to express for Abraham. In other words, as you bring your desires and she feels the culmination of your asking flowing through her vortex, it's that feeling of moving beyond. She can feel the exhilaration of non-physical as we chew upon things that have not been chewed upon in this definition. The discussion earlier, as you took the framework of the way most psychologists look at an issue and you filter it through the lenses of the non-physical energy, there is exhilaration beyond physical description. In other words, co-creation at its very best of taking the physical environment and merging it with the non-physical knowing. This is the human experience you are all reaching for, you see. It's not about mucking around with physical stuff, seeing what you can accumulate. It's about the experience of beingness. It's not about havingness and doingness. It's all about perspective. It's about perceiving yourself in the perfection that is you and allowing that perfection to flow through you in this time-space reality. That is fulfillment beyond verbal description, you see. It's the feeling tones of all of that. You have to feel your way through it. If you're a little bored, look for adventure. If you're a little adventure, look for a little ease. In other words, let the way you feel guide you to that perfect balance. But we promise you, it's only from overwhelmment that you seek ease, and it's only from ease that you seek adventure, and we want you to find more middle ground in all of that. We would like you to do a little bit more conscious job of finding the feeling place of something rather than waiting for the manifestation and then having a reaction to the manifestation. We want you to discover the exhilaration in imagination. That's where it's at, friends. The physical manifestation is only the byproduct of your imagination, but you all keep getting mixed up and thinking that the physical manifestation is the main event. It is not, and then all these discussions we have are about manifestation, 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 when that's not what it is about. It is about being able to conjure something in your imagery that evokes a feeling within you that gives you satisfaction in the now. The manifestation does not matter. It's the way you feel that is your life experience and is your now perspective, you see.